Hello and welcome to that Eurovision site's YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about the results of Vidbir 2023. At the time of recording, this is the night after the national final took place. We will be going through our thoughts on the winner, the show itself, and also the other songs that competed in the contest. Last night, Tavoci won with their song Heart of Steel. And I feel like this was a bit of a surprise winner. I feel like there was other songs that we thought would maybe win, but I think this was, and still was a good song. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on Tavoci's Heart of Steel?
Well, I mean, you definitely aren't wrong in saying that Sforchi winning was a bit of a left field turn. I guess no one was really expecting it. I think we kind of all figured that it was either going to be Jerry Hale or Krut. And then when Sforchi kind of just came out of nowhere, it was a bit of a shock, I guess. Um, you can't deny that the song, like it does pack a punch. And in terms of the sort of staging of it, I think it did very well in sort of delivering the sort of style that it was going to talk about, like the message that it was trying to convey. Um, and to be honest, leaving it for last as well kind of gave it a bit more of a punch as well, because we had a little bit of a string of like slower kind of songs, or a bit more like, you know, more emotional, whereas this one was just a bit more like poppy. I say poppy in like a, you know, normal sense, I guess. But I genuinely enjoyed it. I think I'm kind of happy that it's there. It was my number three going into the contest, into the show. And yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of staging they're going to come up with sort of next time.
So a lot of people said that Torchi winning was a surprise for them. I think it wasn't a surprise. From the beginning, I thought they were one of the contenders to win the Vidbir. I've knew Torchi even for a while, even before they took part in Vidbir in 2020. So I'm really happy that they finally have a chance to be at Eurovision. My only problem with Heart of Steel is that their other songs are way better. And I very much enjoy Heart of Steel. I think it was one of my favorites as well. Maybe like third or fourth of the show. Uh, but I feel like it's a strong entry, and overall uh, not a disappointment for me. Like compared to Crouch and Jerry Hale, I think it's that one. Uh, I think maybe the war message isn't as strong in that song, if it even is, compared to Crouch and Jerry Hale's song, where the songs are very much clearly about the war. So maybe the televoters said that maybe they don't want uh, that kind of theme in the contest. Uh, and overall, Twarczy is a very popular band in Ukraine, and overall, them bringing diversity to the contest, like bringing a person of color as a representative of Ukraine, is just amazing. Like, and the history of how they met, because he came to Ukraine because he was from Nigeria, because he was a med student, and they met, and uh, since then they've been friends and making music. So I think their history is a very nice touch to this, and I am very excited for them, because for once Ukraine decided not to sing mostly in Ukrainian. For a few years they sang mostly in that, but also not bringing cultural elements, leaning more into the electronic sounds. But overall, I am happy with the result. I just think that people are overreacting because fan favorite didn't win. But I saw Tvorchi as a fan favorite from the beginning, so I am happy with the result.
I knew they were fairly popular in Ukraine, so I'm not surprised they won the televote. I have seen some comments on social media that are just wholly unacceptable because their favorite did not win, which is such a shame at this, like, in 2022, do we really need those sorts of comments? No. Like, leave your racism to the side, leave your unconscious bias to the side. It's not needed. But more on their song, because I think this was staged really well at Vidbir. I actually think this was the best staging last night. The staging had a dark, like, it had a dark, like, yellowy, goldy vibe, which really worked because I think the song has like a dark R&B edge to it, which I really enjoy. I think it's something that's totally, like, different from what Ukraine has sent in the past, and I think that's something that I always will compliment Ukraine on. They always try and send something different year on year. Like, they never send the same thing like twice in a row, and it always works for them. So I'm glad to see that yet again they're channeling their diversity of music and again sending us something different to the contest that we've never seen from them before. Visually, this was really, really easy on the eye. Like, I really like the dark, the blacks and the golds. I thought the color, like the color contrast, really, really worked. I thought the vocals were smooth, which I think is one of the big reasons the juries in Ukraine also responded to this. Also, I just think I personally did prefer other songs in the national final, but this is still a good song, and I can see it getting a good result at Eurovision. I can see juries responding to this, because Jeffrey is a very, very good vocalist, and I can see televoters responding to this because I feel like this, again, this is going to be something that's totally different to anything else that we will see in the contest, because like it's like old school R&B, like maybe from like the early 10s, which I don't think we'll see anything else like this. So, and that will make it stand out. So I think it will do quite well in the contest. It is a bit early to tell because it obviously is only our first song, so we have nothing to compare it to. But I'm not worried about Ukraine's chances at all at Eurovision. I think this will do fine. I don't think this will flop like people are saying. I think people are just overreacting because their favourite did not win the contest. Which I think lends me like quite nicely into our next question. Were there any other songs that you enjoyed last night? Any other stagings that you want to go into? And just your thoughts on the other songs in Vidbir 2023.
Yeah, so just sort of going quickly just back to Torchy's staging. I was having a little quick read of just some of the band's sort of ideas for like what the actual like the song was about, and apparently it's somewhat to do with sort of nuclear warfare, which in turn kind of makes sense for why they had like a lot of radioactive style kind of graphics in the background, sort of kind of channeling a little bit into the whole sort of nuclear arms problem that's kind of going on in the midst of the war, obviously. And, you know, of course, we condemn everything that's going on in Ukraine, of course. But otherwise, I think, like, again, the other two songs that really did stand out to me were Kroot and Jerry Hale. Kroot was easily my number one. I loved 99 back in 2020. That was my winner for that selection. And it killed me when I think she won the jury, didn't she, in 2020 as well, but then got shafted by the televote again, I think in 2020, as far as I can remember. She ended up finishing third. So I was quite sad to see her just pipped to the post by 1 point. But I obviously understand that, you know, Tvorchi, I don't know if you guys had seen the televote sort of results have already come out, and Tvorchi were like at least 10,000 televotes ahead of Jerry Hale, who came in second in the televote. So, you know, it was decisive that they were going to win. I did like Jerry Hale's song. I think that the performance was a little bit underwhelming. I think it wasn't really something that I would have expected them to do with a song like that. She was mostly kind of static for a lot of that, and of course, obviously, a lot of it sort of depends on camera work and you know, movement and stuff. And so when you're kind of just stood in the middle, not really doing anything, it can be a bit unsure. I guess in the other songs that I kind of enjoyed, I did like Finca. I think it like that staging really did elevate the song. It's just a shame that her vocals were a little bit more shaky than needed to be. And I'm just trying to remember. Oh, and I must say, I did also very much enjoy Oi Sound System's way of it as well. I think the staging for that was phenomenal. I think it was just maybe a little bit too experimental for Eurovision, and yeah, which is a shame because obviously we know what Ukraine is like in terms of diversity. So overall, I think the quality of this show was fantastic. But we'll get into that a little bit later, I think.
So I'm just gonna do what Rory said. Just gonna slip up. So Cruz in 2020 won the jury and televote in her semifinal, and Goa was third in the juries in the semifinal. But in the final, Goa won the juries and televotes. From what I'm seeing. And Cruz got second in jury in the final and third in the televotes because second place televote was achieved by Kayat. He was third in the juries. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a bit change from the semi to grand final when Goa just got third sixes when it was Cruz in one of the semis that got 8-8.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but yeah, at least
I just
at least
checked it
remember.
really quickly because I remembered the change and I had to kind of do it quickly. So if you watch the video I was on Vidbir when I talked about my favorites, you know that I was very passionate about What God Shut the Door, but that staging was everything that I didn't want it to be, and I kind of knew she will do something like that. This, like she was very static, too static for me, and the perception of her as the Mother Mary at the end of the song that was kind of weird for me, and I didn't enjoy. And the backing vocalist moving around her, I think that didn't work as much as she thought it would be. But still, I think What Gosh to Door is an amazing song. So props to that. It's a shame that she doesn't want to come back to Vidbir anymore. She brought a weird message, but I'm not gonna evaluate on that. Before the show, I thought Cruz will be winning. The staging wasn't something I imagined it could have been. I thought it would be more eerie, more ethereal, but the ending result was also great, like showing the the whole meaning of the song with the dark and reds and the shadows that were going on. I thought that was great. The others I want to shout out is of course Iceland System. I thought that performance was amazing. I don't understand how they did it well because I thought the singer was just amazing, and the staging was great. The other ones that I also mentioned, Finka, I love Dove Bush. I love the dialect diversity, but she was very out of breath in the song, and that was the shame because I think the staging was very nice. And just a shout out to Timber Blanche. I knew from the beginning they were not gonna win, but that staging was just amazing. I thought the performance was one of the best staged yesterday. The split screens, the different shots of them, I thought that was splendid. I knew they won't win, but I just want to say. And the other staging that I enjoyed was Angelina's, but I don't like the song that much. But I thought her staging was really nice. Just the song wasn't it for me. And I think the disappointed for me was Two Tones stagings. Like I didn't dig the performance at all, despite me enjoying it in studio.
So for me, there were quite a few songs that I really enjoyed, and I think I'm going to pinpoint a couple. I, like everyone else, love Jerry Hell's When God Shut the Door. I think I'm going to be the third person to say I was a little bit underwhelmed by the staging. I think when I saw Krut's Koliskova, I just thought, yeah, it's won, because Jerry's staging was so underwhelming, while Koliskova was so beautifully staged, and it was just so, like, the way it was sung and the way it was staged, it was just so touching, and would have been a very, very touching moment if Liverpool had this gone to Eurovision. I did think that When God Shut the Door was a step up from Vegan from Vidbir 2020, I want to say. I wasn't sure if it was 2020 or 2019. I thought she was like vocally she was a lot better. But the stage performance, I thought it did work okay, but there were some camera angles that they didn't quite get right. And I think this would have been elevated at Eurovision. I think this would have still worked at the Eurovision Song Contest. I know she got criticised for the rap. And I know a lot of people weren't a fan of it, but I liked it. I thought it worked with the song. I thought it added to the mood of the song. I personally enjoyed it. And another I loved, and I was like raving about this in the chat, on our Discord chat. I was like, Binker's Dovebush. Yes, vocally it wasn't the best, but she gave everything to that performance, and she left no crumbs. Like, it was amazing. It was so charismatic. I loved it, and I would have liked to see something like that at Eurovision. It would have been really, really fun, and I feel like she'd have brought that fun, like, energy on stage. Anyway, so I have one final question for you, and that's just asking on your thoughts on the show overall, like the presenters, the interval acts, the overall song quality. What were your thoughts on Vidbir 2023 as a whole?
Wow. Okay. So I think first off, I think we have to applaud Ukraine for being able to even host this show. For those of you who didn't know, it was held in the Independence Square metro station. And you could obviously tell they were in a metro station because in times you would hear the trains kind of going past, and so they'd obviously have to sort of speak up a bit. But being able to create a stage and hold a national selection in the midst of all this, I think is just something that we have to commend them for. Overall, I think, with the limited space that they had, I think they managed to do a really good job in sort of with the actual stage design. I think it looked pretty good. If they just had a little bit more space, I think it could have helped just to elevate some of the other songs, maybe for example Demchuk. I feel like Demchuk could have done a little bit better with a more wide stage. I think overall, I think I liked all the presenters. Katarina is a queen, obviously. Zlata was just there. She didn't really do anything, but she was there to have a good time. And then obviously just Timur, just sort of being Timur and just, again, just normal Eurovision person. It's fine. The song quality, though, in general, I loved. I think, we've said it on this pod, on the site, on the podcast and everything, that Ukraine knows how to do diversity in its national selection. Every time you just will not get the same style of music all the time. And that's really nice to have. It shows how committed they are to showing different styles of themselves. And I think, the stage design looked really good, and the jury, I think, did fairly well. I mean, Jamala was, obviously there, Yulia Sanina and Clara Stopolia. They were also just, obviously offering all of their critiques and everything. I think they did a good job there. I guess the one thing that I would be a little bit sort of, making sure that it would be better going forward, I guess, is just sort of making sure that the trying to find the right way to say it. I guess just making it feel a little bit more warm, I guess, because it did feel like a lot of the sort of hosts were, kind of just reading off the script, if you know what I mean. So if it was a little bit more natural, especially with Katarina, I think that was just her first time doing a hosting gig, so I can understand, obviously. But I think that just comes with experience. So if she was to come back and do it again, I don't see why she wouldn't be able to sort of build on that experience a little bit more. But overall, it was a really, really good show, and I really enjoyed it. And just one final thing, I love that the meme the meme season has already started. For those of you who don't know, the first meme of the season has already come out of Ukraine. As Marina Krutz was walking out of the stage, she unknowingly had her dress stepped on by Katerina, and so it just made her like stop as she got stuck. It was so funny. And the amount of people that were like right angle triangles, because it's literally like a right angle triangle. I loved it. Anyway, it was a great show, great start to the national final season, and I cannot wait for more.
So, watching the national final, I was sitting and thinking how Ukraine can do this while being a war, while my country's national selections are so sometimes so low budget and very what's the word uh, very basic maybe like and Vidbir just showed to everyone that if despite being in a horrible situation they could just produce a show, and I think that's that was a very well done show. During some performances, I could see that the stage was very small, and unfortunately, during some performances, it kind of felt that small stage kind of worked, didn't work that well. I think in my notes I wrote that one of them was Demchuk. I think that hurt him. Kinda, I would say Jerry's and Krutz, I would say the bigger stage maybe could elevate the song a bit more. Two Tones was very packed, like the band, trying to pack the whole band on the stage was very not a great idea because it was very packed and it didn't look that great. But one song that I thought that it helped the small stage was Timber Blanche. That's why I think it worked well. So congrats to Ukraine for making a great show despite the circumstances. The house amazing, and I'm really happy to see Julia as one of the juries. And I'm still hoping for the potential the Hardkiss participation in Eurovision. I don't know if they will, but I really hope we get some rock from Ukraine from them. And the interval acts, I thought they were brilliant. The anthem of Ukraine sung at the beginning was great, and it made me realize how boring the Polish anthem is compared to the Ukrainian one. I sound like a Poland hater, but that's just what it is. I wasn't a big fan of the piano boy interval act, but I thought it was just how it was supposed to look like. Verka is Verka, and nothing else can be said. Jamala, I thought she saw the show with her. As always, she is just a superstar, and I thought she always delivers with her performances. And shout out to Zlata, amazing job at Junior Eurovision. What for me was one of the most growing song at the contest, coming from lower places to like to my seventh place, and I thought the result was deserved, and she did an amazing job, and I loved the audience hyping her up at the end, and she does a lot, and hopefully she can come back to the adult Eurovision in the future.
I feel the show was amazing. To say they had to host it in like a bomb shelter under the metro, they had everything. Like they did everything they could to make that show a success, and I think UAPVC needs so much like like compliment, like to be complimented so well on how well they did under this like circumstances. I really feel like hearing the trains going over the shelter really made you think about the situation in Ukraine and how resilient the Ukrainian people are to try and carry on and try to just enjoy themselves when it must be like really, really hard. Like, and it's just like a stressful, emotional time for the country. And UAPVC still put on a show to like help the Ukrainian people be able to like not forget, but like just enjoy themselves for 4 hours, which I think is like I think that's just an amazing feat. They definitely did not have to put on a national final, and yeah, it just shows like resilience, I think. I think the hosts were good. I think yes, some of the like Katarina's very, very new to this, so like it did seem like sometimes they were reading a bit off a script, but that's fine. Like especially if you're new. I think it's really nice that in the hosting lineup we had like familiar faces to Eurovision. So it wasn't just like familiar faces to the Ukrainian people. It was also familiar faces to like people that were watching internationally, because Latta represented them in 2013. Obviously, Katarina represented them in 2021 and 2020, although she didn't get to go to Eurovision because there's a thing called COVID. And obviously Tima, who has hosted Eurovision in the past in 2017 and has been part of multiple national finals for Junior and Eurovision, and just seems like he's been involved in the Eurovision sphere forever. So, and probably he's going to play a part in hosting 2023 in Liverpool, hopefully. I think it was also really, really nice that Zlata Dizunka got to have like a really nice like homecoming after Junior Eurovision. I think that song was actually really underrated at Junior Eurovision. I thought she sang it like it was just a powerful, touching performance, and I do actually think that deserved more at Junior Eurovision than what it got. And I thought the song quality was good. I thought everything was different. Like no two, like I don't think there's made like two songs that were the same, and that's what we came to expect from Ukraine. We came to expect like diversity, and there will definitely be songs like after this contest that I will stick on my Spotify playlist and be listening to on repeat. So I guess my last thing is that has anyone got any final thoughts to Vidbir 2023?
I mean, just to echo what you two have been saying, if you're stupid enough to think that, oh my God, for some reason, because Tvorchi won, therefore you have the right to throw unnecessary, unsolicited racism to the band, what's going on with you? I think you need to get your head checked, to be honest. But other than that, I'm really glad that we already have a first entry for Eurovision. We're going to be getting another few now as the sort of days kind of go on, because as we're recording this, Festivali Kungus is about to hit in Albania. I'm just excited to get stuck into this national final season. It's been far too long, and I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, just echo. Don't be an asshole and don't send unsolicited hate to Tvorchi. Like you saw what happened with Lisandro after he won Junior Eurovision, and he was a kid and a person of color. So that's a double hitter. And overall, fingers crossed, no scandals after the national selection, because it would have been a long time if we had a Vidbir winner participating at Eurovision. So
You might have spoken it into existence now, Janek. You don't know that now.
I'm not the first person who said this in existence. I'm like just echoing that. Please no. The winner was great, and with no scandals or cancellations from Ukraine, please.
I think, yeah, again, just to echo what the other two have said, there is no room for racism in this fandom. Like, if you are like, your response to your favorite not winning is to make racist comments, then we don't really want you in our fandom, because it's not acceptable. And if you're sending hate directly to the band, like, you need to like just evaluate your life priorities. I'm sorry to say. And I guess this takes us to the end to this Vidbir recap video. I would like to thank Rory and Janek for joining me today. To be sure to give this video a like, and also give That Eurovision site a subscribe for other video content we have coming up. Please make sure you give us a like on socials over at That Euro site on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to keep up to date with all the Eurovision 2023 news. Be sure to also give our podcast a follow on That Eurovision podcast, That Euro podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so that you can be kept up to date for whenever we release a new episode. And be sure to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. all that is left is for us to say bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
And I just have to end the recording now.
Yeah, I'm clicking